Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk,
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
broadcasting from the DABCC offices in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos.
A Microsoft MVP, Citrix Charter CTP, VMware vExpert.
And your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DABCC Radio. I'm really excited about today's episode. We have a company that's really sitting on the cusp of the storage world. They're called ClearSky Data. And what ClearSky does is they created this global storage network in the cloud for the enterprise, and it works. And so we brought on their CTO, Laz, and he is going to explain to us all about what they've done, why they did it, how it works, answer a few of my other questions. And he's a really brilliant guy. The company is also founded by two serial entrepreneurs that have, they've done it before. Really brilliant people. So, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll let Laz explain all this, what ClearSky does, and why you should be as impressed with it as I am. So with no further ado, here's my interview with Laz, the CTO and co-founder at ClearSky Data. Okay, Laz, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I'm looking forward to this. You guys have a very unique and sort of disruptive technology, which I really look forward to, one, personally learning more about, and two, introducing to all the guys out there listening. You guys are rather new. So, again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Happy to be here.
Oh, I thank you. So, on that note, let's just dive into it. As always, my first question is, who are you and what do you do over at ClearSky Data? And so who are you and what do you do?
Well, as you said, I'm Lazarus Vekiarides. I'm the co-founder, chief technology officer of ClearSky Data. I'm one half of the founding team, the other being Ellen Rubin. I have a background in data storage. I was part of the core team at Equalogic from the very beginning. I ran a large chunk of the software development organization there. And Equalogic was one of the first iSCSI storage arrays back in the beginning of the last decade, 2001, 2002. I stayed on after the acquisition by Dell, which was in 2007, and I ran storage software development for their storage business unit for about 5 years before I disembarked on my latest adventure. Another interesting thing about my background is that before this storage stuff, I actually was doing a lot of work in networking. So I worked at companies like 3Com, Banyan Systems back in the 90s when networking was cool.
Banyan
yes, you
Vines,
bet.
Baby. I did a
Microsoft. So many people. So many people have that reaction.
Well, Banyan Vines it was great. It was a great networking OS back then, It really was. I migrated Banyan Vines to Inti Enterprise at big giant, I wouldn't say, at the power company, which is obviously big and giant. And that was I think that was 99-ish. So it's really a lot of fun. We had these big data general clusters with fiber DLT arrays and flat screen monitor, LCD monitors. 99, this was as high tech as it comes, right? And because they had the money to pay for all this stuff. And oh my Lord, was it fun. So actually it might have not been 99, it might have been 98. But it was fun. Yeah, NT4 Enterprise. So Banyan Vines. And 3Com, good old Bill Metcalf. You gotta love that.
Right.
I know my computer history. Very cool, very cool. So you're one of the founders. So I have to ask, can you give us the, why did you found ClearSky? What are you guys trying to accomplish?
So I I think the general opinion, probably across the board by now, but it was probably less evident at the time I founded the company, was that the storage industry is in dire need of a change. So the typical way in which enterprises actually acquire, consume, and manage storage has been more or less the same over the course of the last 30 years. And it usually involves buying, standing up, and maintaining a large number of these boxes in data center colo space, and you have a lot of really, really adverse economic and management motions that really, really make this a costly endeavor. So, for example, you always end up buying things in 3-year increments. So you buy today what you're going to need for 3 years, even though you're not going to use it for quite some time. So there's a fair amount of waste there. You have a huge amount of overhead running the stuff, and then every 2 to 3 years you run out of space anyway. You have a gear that goes end of life, and you need to re-up it. So you keep buying the same capacity over and over again. So it becomes extraordinarily expensive. There were a number of other interesting transitions going on with the underlying technology, things like disk drives and processors, and it became obvious that, at least to me, that the world was looking for a more service-oriented type of storage infrastructure. Because you have to call it a service. If you're going to keep paying for something over and over and over again, isn't it better to just make it a service and then consume it as a bundled entity where all these problems are taken care of for you, rather than having these problems inherent in pretty much every stage of ownership. So that was the sort of the aha moment. What we've built here at ClearSky is what we call a global storage network, which is a way to consume primary storage over a network. So you don't have to stand up any of that gear. You have a relatively small device that sits in your data center that basically is an access point into our network. And through that edge device, you can access an infinite amount of data storage at high performance, without the footprint, with all of the management being done on the other side of the wire. And effectively, you get cloud economics and usability, but also the performance of on-site storage. So that's really our elevator pitch. Cloud economics and usability with the performance of on-prem.
That's very cool. The first thing that comes to mind is, how is that possible to give local? Obviously we all understand the benefits of cloud storage, right? We've been using it from personal use to even bursting in the enterprise and what have you. But to actually move our data, is this what you're advocating? Actually moving a lot of our workloads into your cloud, so to speak? And if so, how are you able to give that local performance or adequate performance? Or is that the secret sauce?
Excellent question. Well, we actually talk fairly broadly about our secret sauce because it is pretty interesting stuff. What we have built is, when we call it a global storage network, it feels in many ways architecturally like a content delivery network for data storage, except it's private. It's not like Akamai that carries internet traffic. And what we do is to build out local points of presence in major data center hubs. So, for example, today we are rolling out hubs or points of presence in Boston, New York, Ashburn, Virginia, Las Vegas. These are all the areas where we know that there's a very, very deep and broad data center ecosystem, and we put those points of presence in place there, along with the networking capacity that we need. And our goal is to be within 1 or 2 milliseconds of the end user customers. So, as you know, latency is a big, big issue with cloud storage. In general, cloud is far, far away from you, And no matter how hard we try, we can't actually change the speed of light, or at least we didn't raise enough capital to do that. But what we are doing is we're moving the data that you're using as close to you as possible so you get that local experience. And we do that through a combination of several levels of caching technology and also a very, very high-speed, low-latency network that goes from the cloud to our points of presence and then ultimately to your data center at your edge.
Cool. Are there workloads that benefit better than others, or at the same time, the opposite question, are there workloads that just is not adequate for a solution like this or appropriate for a solution like this?
Well, surprisingly, there's a much broader set of workloads that work than do not. And so what we have is a system that will provide you some very, very intense flash level IOPS, and so you can use us for databases, the SQL servers and the MySQLs and Oracle. We do quite well with those types of applications, and in particular, we do well with versions of those applications that have very, very large data footprints. So if I were to point out something that seems sort of like a natural for us, are log processing type applications and databases, especially like NoSQL type things. Those seem to work really well for a couple of reasons. One, they require a fair amount of performance, but at the same time, the storage footprint is so large and unwieldy. A lot of times these logs, especially security logs or machine logs, they have these long tails of data that need to be stored. And the expense of storing all of that in a very, very expensive piece of media is unreasonably high. And so as a result, a service like us really, really bends the economics for folks that want to implement those types of solutions.
That makes total sense. So along the lines of data center footprint, how does your approach eliminate the cost of the data center footprint of traditional storage? Does it, and or is it just a better approach? I'll throw that at you.
Yeah, well, so first of all, it's unquestionably a better approach. First of all, we have just a 2U appliance. It's all flash. That is the footprint that's in your data center. So think about all the power and cooling you don't have to deal with. So as part of rolling out this company, we've learned an awful lot about the particulars of data centers and how they charge you for things, and it's all about power, cooling, less so rack space in those areas. In fact, a lot of the reasons why cloud data centers are where they are is because they optimize their locations for really those factors: power, cooling, and maybe a third thing is ultimately real estate costs, but if you don't have to worry about all that stuff, if you don't need 12 racks of gear in order to support your storage footprint, that's just a huge OpEx change in and of itself. But probably more importantly is that you don't have to worry about all this gear being maintained at all. So between the combination of our caching technology, the fact that most of the data and the media that your data is actually being served from actually lives elsewhere in our cloud or in a public cloud, you don't have to worry about things like failing disk drives. You don't have to worry about racking and stacking gear. You don't have to worry about end of life issues. All of that stuff is by us and our technology. So you just have this broad continuum of wonderful fast storage that continuously gets, as we improve the service, it gets faster, and it also gets cheaper as the underlying media gets cheaper. And you don't have to replace the physical media. You don't have to replace any of this hardware. So it becomes more like a utility. So
yeah.
a lot of goodness there.
Yeah, absolutely. As you explained it, I thought to myself, is it sort of like a Robin Peter to pay Paul sort of deal? But I can, with the cost of storage or what have you, but also you had mentioned that just the service side of it, where you don't have to worry about any of the managing of the infrastructure, right? Forget about even about the storage and or the heating and cooling and that stuff, but just the you just plug in an appliance and away you go, right?
That's right. That's right. There's a certain need these days. In the cloud era, what we find is that enterprises are valuing agility more than anything else. The ability to say, Doug, you want to spin up a workload today. You need several terabytes of storage in order to do it, and you want to get started today. And you don't want to have to go through an acquisition process or to configure infrastructure. Having a service like ours allows you to do that today because there's always capacity available for you. So you don't need to wait for primary storage to be lit up specifically for your applications. In many enterprises, folks have to wait months in order to acquire the storage, rack it, stack it, and not to mention approve it. It's a much faster way of getting to the point where you're using the technology as well.
I agree. So, what are traditional storage companies doing wrong? Why aren't they getting into this? Is it one of those, you don't want to kill the cash cow type of deals? What could they be doing better? Just throw that at you. Why don't they get into this style business?
I think a lot of them consternating that they want to, but you can't. You can't. As the old saying goes, you can't turn a battleship around in a harbor. The bulk of their businesses is predicated on them continuously pushing out more and more boxes to customers every quarter, forever and ever, and replacing those boxes in 3 years. And for them to make a transition, it's a very, very major business model change, and it touches so many things. Their shareholders for, and obviously the share prices are not doing so well these days. It's a very, very tough transition to manage inside of the public markets. It's there's a very, very huge amount of inertia in these organizations, and they have all this sunk R&D that they need to monetize. So it's very difficult for them to do this. So it's not that they don't want to. In fact, they talk about it. And one of the funny things that we see a lot, they do come and talk about things like monetizing physical storage by getting you to lease it in some odd way, so as to kind of synthesize the financial benefits of this. But it's not the same because you still end up with a wall of boxes, and you still end up with these crazy commitments that you have to buy huge amounts of storage. And but you do see that everyone wants to be here. It's just a very, very difficult transition to make. You can't just fire everyone in your business and say, okay, we're going to do things differently now.
Yeah, you got it. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I wrote it down as a question. I want to hit you with it directly, I guess. But moving workloads to the cloud is definitely something the industry has been talking about for quite some time, right? The cloud. But it's very hard, as you mentioned, particularly when you're talking about primary storage and moving that into a cloud environment. So how do you guys, how does ClearSky make the promise of cloud a reality for enterprise storage?
Well, so what we do at ClearSky is to make it possible for you to not care about the location of your compute. And so this has some benefits in traditional models. So it's not just a cloud model that has some benefit, but even in a traditional model, you have to have DR and you have to have offsite capabilities no matter what. And that's kind of inherent in the service because it's cloud-based. So you can move your data around even cross-country over time. As we build out the network, you're going to be able to move data to wherever your compute happens to be. But one of the places you can move your data, of course, is the cloud. So once you have a single copy of all the data sitting in a cloud somewhere, it's really a simple matter of lighting up software inside that cloud in order to provide SAN access to the cloud data. And also, what we do is because we've built a very, very high availability, high resiliency stack, we actually have performance and availability benefits inside the cloud that are not available today. So we can provide very, very high performance and unmetered access to that same data inside of one of the compute clouds. So you have a true hybrid environment. You can do things like bursting, for example, which everyone kind of hand waves and says, "Boy, wouldn't that be nice if I didn't have to buy that server today?" So things like that are a possibility with our technology.
Very cool, very cool. Definitely, you guys just talk a lot about latency, and latency is something is about as important as it comes, right? So I'll throw it out to you. Why is latency so important to this discussion, and what are you guys doing about that besides just moving the data, building a data center close to me?
Well, you have to. So one of the things that I think it's obvious, but people don't we don't articulate it very well in general. Is that we live where we live. Cloud data centers are where they are for a reason, and they never had the intention of being next to you. So you have this built-in inherent latency problem. If your compute's, for just performance reasons and your own perceptual reasons, you want to be near the thing you're interacting with. The speed of light actually matters hugely when you're making interactive decisions with something. Even if you and I were talking on the phone, if we were across the world, just the latency from the wire sometimes trips up conversations. I don't know if you've ever been on an overseas call sufficient distance that you've noticed that.
I'm in Berlin right now, and you're in Boston, so it's pretty amazing that this works.
Oh, I know. But this is one of the sort of inherent problems that we have in the universe. If it takes 50 milliseconds or 100 milliseconds for a single interaction with your storage, and you're doing thousands of these a second, and tens of thousands of these a second, or you're trying to do tens of thousands of them a second, what you end up with is a very, very horrible experience. And so what we've tried to do is to algorithmically come up with ways to move data around in the network very quickly so that it's available to you before you ask for it, and it's available to you with low latency because it's in a local network rather than across the country or something like that. And so it's a big advantage if you don't have something like that. So you can never get those hundreds of thousands of IOPS. You can never actually get that local experience. And so you either move all your compute far away, in which case that's also an unsatisfying experience for a lot of users as well. Interacting with an application that's really, really far away. Or you're left with a very, very sort of low performance envelope that's not very satisfying. So this is this is the key to what we do, is to characterize workloads, understand how much of a workload an application uses, and then when that workload moves around, we're able to understand how much data and which data to move where in order to get that local performance. So we've optimized it to the point that between the high-speed network and our capabilities, we can do this really quickly.
That's very cool. You mentioned the speed of light, and this is a question I've always wanted to ask, somebody in the know like you. And that is, that is such a limiting factor. I mean, it's just, no one's figured out how to do it. So how do you make things faster? I mean, is that just such a roadblock that this is just, caching is our solution and things like, I mean, how do you overcome that obstacle, or can it even be overcome?
Well, it can't, right? You can accommodate it. So caching is the core technology in ClearSky Data's global storage network. Now it's caching, and that's what makes it possible. So the idea there is, well, don't reach across long distances to get data, because if you do, it's unpleasant. And so, and this is, we aren't the first example of something like this working. Everyone knows about Akamai, which was the first content delivery network. That was the basic premise there. And, they've been around now for, actually since the late 90s, and very, very successful company, by the way. And, they're solving a permanent problem. It's not going to change. So, like, one of the things that, you start to realize as you build out a network is that, well, if you're going to build out a long distance network, you're going to have to get used to these long latency numbers. So, for example, across the country, you'll be hard pressed if you want to go from Boston to the West Coast. You'll be hard pressed to get significantly lower than the 70 or 80 milliseconds or so that a fiber connection will give you. So that's actually a long time. When you're sitting there talking to the storage media vendors, the flash guys, and they're talking about microsecond level latencies, light can't travel very far in a microsecond. That's a sort of a fundamental problem. So how do you solve for that? You basically only interact with data that requires that latency by moving it as close as you can, and then doing some magic tricks to make sure that if you don't need that level of latency, you can move it off. Otherwise, you have a very, very real problem where you have to have multiple copies of everything everywhere you're actually accessing them. So it's a hard problem to solve without good caching and very, very high-speed networking. I've always said, one of the funny things, theoretically, Albert Einstein did say that you could go faster than the speed of light, but if you were doing that, you would be going backwards in time.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but I'm fairly certain that would mean that you'd receive your data before you ever transmitted it, which would be kind of weird.
When companies are out there considering managed services for enterprise storage, what can they do differently? That's maybe possible nowadays that was impossible in the past.
Well, the idea that you can just light up storage without having to pay for it until you actually use it. The idea that you don't have to go through any particular process in order you just create capacity out of thin air. Those are the new things, right? That's what the cloud model gives you, and the benefits are enormous. Both financial benefits of not having to pay for something until you use it, as well as the amount of time you save from the moment you decide you need something till the time you get it. And so those are very, very easily quantifiable and important benefits that we're bringing to the world of the IT professional, and that's I think that's the most significant thing. There are a whole bunch of other areas of storage management that I think we actually deliver because of what we're doing as a service, and we're also removing a lot of headaches. And as an executive inside of a very, very large storage business, not too long ago, I can tell you that customers have a huge set of headaches that we've kind of made go away with this type of a service.
You got it.
So many benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so this is the part of the conversation I want to ask you about things like, you had mentioned it's an appliance. So I basically plug in the appliance and away I go. Is there anything else to it? Can you maybe walk us through, okay, I decided to go with ClearSky Data. Now what? Make sense?
Yeah, sure. Well, so I'll tell you how it works. We actually have a fairly straightforward process where what we will do is we will actually show up at your data center. We actually need to know where it physically is, and we'll make sure that the environment is conforming. So a lot of the by the way, a lot of storage vendors do the same kind of a thing where they do assessments and try and figure out, how everything's configured. That's kind of built into our service. Obviously, we sell it as a service, so it's not an additional bill for professional services. We just we do this. What we'll do in the background is to make sure that we provision enough bandwidth. So we run our private network into these data centers, and so we need to make sure that every customer gets at least 2 gigabits of dedicated throughput into our edge device. So we do that as well, and the time it takes to configure that varies. It's usually anywhere from a few days to a week or two, depending on the situation. So each building is a little different. But we have a process to do that. When the bandwidth is in place, we'll show up with a device. We'll plug it in. We'll help you configure it. We'll integrate it into your environment and sort of hand over the keys, and then you're done. From that point on, what we do is we monitor all your storage from our central operations here in Boston, and we keep track of everything that is happening in terms of service anomalies and problems that you may be seeing. In many cases, what we find is that from a customer experience, we actually know what's going on inside of a customer before even they do sometimes. Server dropped. Did you know your server dropped? We actually have the ability to find really interesting things just because of our network intelligence, and also the fact that we are tethered to all these devices. So we kind of make it a touch-free experience. In general, once we hand over the keys to you, you have a portal login. You can just log in and you can just provision storage as you see fit. You can just build out your infrastructure on your end of the data center really as you would ordinarily. There's no real limitation from a storage standpoint. We actually like to call up our customers periodically to see how they're doing, to see what their plans are, making sure that we have the right amount of capacity in place there. What we also do, which is, I think unique to us, is we keep close tabs of expansion so that we can actually help them expand. And we obviously, expanding is not a big deal for us, but if there's more capacity needed in any way, we give that to customers for free.
Oh, very nice. Very, very cool. I think it's amazing what you guys are doing and bringing to market, both from a technology standpoint, but then just a usability and value add from the customer side. They're not, as you mentioned, they're not just getting storage, but they're also getting a lot of knowledge from you guys too. I can only imagine that because you have some, X amount of customers, you're learning exponentially from those customers, right? The age of big data, where you're able to look at, things that maybe a corporation will only, enterprise would see maybe once or twice or had never seen before, and you've seen it 20 times or 100 times or 1,000 times, and are able to spot that and then in return take an action against it, right? Isn't that just one of the giant benefits of cloud and I hate to use the word, but something like big data, right?
Well, oh, sure. Actually, it can be both a blessing and a curse. We know things, and in fact, there's a whole slew of really, really interesting capabilities that we're going to be able to build, over time because we have this knowledge. We know, for example, specific types of application workloads and how they behave, and we understand their idiosyncrasies in ways that I think they are discoverable, but on a grand scale, being able to assimilate this level of data across that many customers in order to help these applications run more efficiently, I think that's a very, very big win for everybody. And so we're looking forward to being able to do some of this stuff as we scale our user base.
Absolutely. Well, hey, buddy, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I very much enjoyed this. I really like what you guys are doing. I'm going to ask you one more question, and it'll be a two-phase question. One, if somebody wants to learn more, what do they need to do? And two, of course, just go ahead and give you the last word and sort of summarize, the ClearSky data, value, why we should care. You know what I mean?
Sure. We have a lot of information, white papers, and webinars and additional content up on our website. It's www.clearskydata.com. And you can learn a lot about the company just from the content there. All of us here are frequent bloggers as well, so you could search for my name or Ellen's name. We talk a lot about what we do in various forums as well. If you'd like more information, you want an account representative to reach out to you, you can basically just leave your email there, and we'll get right back to you. And again, ClearSky Data is a cloud technology that allows you to get local, flash level performance for your data, regardless of your location, not just in the cloud, but in your local data center. And you get all of the benefits of on-prem performance and availability and capability, but with the economics of the cloud, pay-as-you-go and touch-free management. So that's it in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Totally wonderful. I like I said, I just totally love what you guys are doing. It's as futuristic as it comes, and to bring that to enterprise storage is just phenomenal. So kudos to you guys. I definitely look forward to watching you grow over the years and figuring out how to go faster than the speed of light, because I got a feeling you're going to do it.
I'll try my best, man.
Okay. I'll hold you to it, So on that note, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today and share with my audience what you guys are doing. So thanks again.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It was a very pleasant conversation. Great to get to know you.
Anyway, thanks. Okay, that concludes another successful episode of DABCC Radio. As always, I want to thank my guest for today, Laz from ClearSky Data, and this guy is really, truly brilliant, and he mentioned they blog a lot, so head on over to their site. Well, just go to DABCC. We have it on DABCC, right? But head over to ClearSky Data, check out what these guys are doing. This is the future, right? They're just going to get there first, and it's really amazing what they're doing. They're serial entrepreneurs that have done this before, that are very good at what they do, and now they're walking into the future with this global network. It's really brilliant stuff. I'm almost left speechless. So I love learning about technologies like this. I really do, and I really enjoyed this conversation. So I hope you guys did too. On that note, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for listening to DABCC Radio. And I'm very excited to tell you we just released a new mobile app, an updated mobile app for our news app. I built one way back in 2010, and I must confess it wasn't working anymore because of the site change. And it was old. It was 2010. A lot changed in the mobile world since 2010, and it was iOS only. So this time we updated, and we built a brand new Android app, and it's really simple to use. It's a great way to just stay up to date with what's going on in the industry, right? DABCC, stay up to date with what's going on, all from when you're sitting doing nothing. You're waiting for a meeting. Check out DABCC. You're going to the bathroom. check out DABCC, right? You wake up in the morning, you read the news, you check out DABCC, all in just seconds. And I think you guys really love it. It's fast, easy, beautiful. That's the goal. And very, very useful, right? At the end of the day, very, very useful. So check that out. Head over to www.dabcc.com and just look at in the menu. You'll see it in the little drop-down thing on the right. Mobile DABCC mobile apps, or browse to the very bottom of the web page, and you'll be able to see the bottom menu has all the links or little buttons for you to link out to the proper. That's probably the best way. Or just go to the app stores and search for DABCC, and you'll find it there. So it's brand new. I hope you guys like it. Please let me know what you think. If you found any issues with it, definitely let me know. And on that note, I want to thank each and every one of you guys again for listening to DABCC Radio.
Can you say DABCC?
DABC.
Say it again, DABCC.
DABC.
Can you say it again, DABCC?
DABC.
How about DABCC?
DABC.
DABCC.
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 DABCC.